Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm so pleased that I have this opportunity to join this important event. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Katrin Well. I'm 18 years old. This year, I study in grade 11. I have one brother and two sisters. I am the youngest sister in the family. Now, I will tell you about my stories and how I got to be here. When I was little, I was a victim of attack and I was badly burned. I was so into begging in Thailand. I was a beggar for 3 years. One day, the police came and arrested me, including me. When I was into jail for 1 or 2 months, I can't remember. After this, they sent me to the organization of province in Thailand, and I stayed there for 1 year when I was 7 years old. Then they moved me to small charities house in Pattaya in Thailand. I stayed there for 2 years. I studied school from the first my life. I studied in grade 1. In there, I really enjoy being there and going to school. I made some friends and they really like my long hair. And also, Thai girls don't often have long hair. From that time, my life has changed in a positive way. When I was 10 years old, I was sent back to Cambodia through the government center Waipat. Then I was transferred to Siem Reap where I met Mom Geraldine. I traveled by plane with her. Then I arrived at Siem Reap airport. I cried so much. Mom bought me a toy watermelon which has insect a ladybird inside. We can still keep my first toy. First that time, Sunrise have afforded me very much, including warm care from house mother, basic needs such as food, clothes, medical care, shelter, and especially educational opportunity as follow. I get my general education at Phnom School, English training at Australian Center for Education that called SE School in Cambodia, dancing training, music training, moral education, and other great opportunities. While living in Sunrise, study is the most important for me. As a result of this support, it helped me make an achievement in Sunrise. More than this, in 2013, I won a scholarship to study to Australia for 1 month with my friends. This result made me feel proud of myself and Sunrise. I would like to thank Sunrise Children Village that they pay very good attention to me and also to Prime Minister of Cambodia for helping us so much. I also thanks to Mom Geraldine, staff in Sunrise, friends, teachers, sponsors, and visitors. Finally, I wish all of you more success, happiness ever and ever. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm very pleased that I have a great honor to be here. Well, let me introduce myself and my family. My name is Gemekra and I am 16 years old. My current class is grade 11. I have two sisters. They are my older sister and younger sister. My older sister is Gemnika. She used to live in Sunrise, but now she leaves Sunrise to stay with my mother and continue to study at university. And my younger sister is Kumvijika. She is 11 years old and now she is a student in grade 6. My mother is a widow. She lives in Kanda province. And now she works in Phnom Penh and earning a low salary. My mother hasn't had enough time for me and my sister. Now let me tell you some experience before sunrise. After my father died, my family is very poor and we don't have any money to buy food, and sometimes we don't have any food to eat for a whole day. And when we have got sick, we just stay at home and wait until the illness gone, and it is best choice. And really one thing that I really miss is when the rainy season is coming, I could not sleep at night because the water comes through the roof and we are wet, so we get cold, so we can't sleep at night. And the last but not least is lack of care. When my mother go to work, she always keep us at home, and I always play outside the house nearby the road. So I already keep my life in danger because of traffic accident. But since I was brought to live in sunrise, my heart and my life is gone. Sunrise is the best place that I have known, as it provides me many things, like a very good family life, healthy and delicious food, shelter, clothes, medical care, education, vocational training, and most of all, the love that we get from Mom Geraldine Cox. What sunrise offer me, I really difficult to say beside the word. Thank you, sunrise, very much. And in response to do the charitable activity I get, I myself commit to study hard to become a good child, good student, good friend, and good human resource for Cambodia. Finally, may I wish ladies and gentlemen, the sunrise staff, and especially Ma'am Geraldine Cox, all the best all the time. Thank you.
What a wonderful education you have all been lucky enough to have. Our lives are determined first by the country we were born in. If you were born in the West or first world countries, your lives are going to be pretty much okay. But if you were born in the jungles of Cambodia or the backwoods of Bangladesh, you can be pretty sure your lives are going to suck. I'm going to talk to you today about the education in Cambodia, or rather the lack of education in the country. It is a very sad situation compared to the wonderful educations you've all got in the countries that you represent. And to help you understand why the education is in such tatters, I need to give you a little bit more background about the country's recent history. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on what Huni said. The French colonized the country like they did in many others in the region until King Sihanouk negotiated independence in the country in the mid-50s. It was going to be a new beginning, but the Cambodians were given very little time to make a success of this new start. The French had installed a perfectly good system of education based on the French style, which basically fell apart with the start of the Vietnam War in 1970. As Hun Mane said, more tonnage of bombs were dropped here than in Japan during the whole length of World War II. Hard to imagine, isn't it? From 1970 to the early 90s, the education system was in shambles. Universities and schools stopped. They used them mostly for wounded soldiers during the war. The next step forward in Cambodia's history was with the end of the war in 75, when the Khmer Rouge regime took over the country with disastrous effects for almost every aspect of Cambodian society. In just 4 years, from 1976 to 79, under the infamous reign of Pol Pot, anyone who had attended school over the age of 7 was put to death just because they were educated. Teachers, doctors, architects, engineers, lawyers, journalists, artists, public servants, everyone they could find that were pillars of the society were assassinated. People were shot just for wearing glasses. All money was burnt. Even the family unit was destroyed, with husbands and wives and children being separated and put to work in labour camps, providing them for each other. Many of them have never ever found each other, even to this day. Pagodas were burnt and monks were murdered. Religion was abolished. Libraries, all books, and even the registrars containing records of births, deaths and marriages were burnt. Records of land titles were also destroyed. It's almost impossible to prove that you own land in this country. People were reduced to an animal level, often with farm animals being fed more food and treated better than they were. Out of a population of 7 million, an estimated 2 million were killed through assassination, starvation, torture, or hard labour. I don't know if any of you have studied the history of Cambodia in your schools. That's why I'm giving it to you today. Never in recorded history had a population of people been so completely decimated and destroyed by their own people. It can be compared to what the Germans did to the Jews in World War II, but this time it was Cambodians killing their own people, and a new word was entered into the dictionary: auto-genocide. Even today, in modern Phnom Penh, there is no one who has not lost a close family member, or if they survived, are living with memories so tormenting that many of them cannot function normally. It is not an exaggeration to say that all the survivors of the killing fields from 75 to 79, many of them my friends about my own age, are suffering from various degrees of post-traumatic stress disorders, depression, and they are not treated because there are very few psychiatrists or psychologists in Cambodia, because they were all killed. There's nowhere for these people to get help. Then, in late 79, the communist North Vietnamese, not the South Vietnamese who fought and lost the war against communism, marched on Cambodia and liberated the Cambodians by ousting Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge from power. But the terror was not over for Cambodians, who were then subjected to the very communism that they fought so hard to resist before Pol Pot ruined their lives. Under the Vietnamese occupation from 79 to 92, communism was forced upon them, and again, they were not masters of their own fate. The Vietnamese, to be fair, recognized the need for the people to be more educated, but because there was no one left alive here to do this, they shipped educated and academic people to other communist countries like China, Russia, Poland and Czechoslovakia, where they learned pretty much against their will communist ways. Slowly, the deserted schools and universities began to awaken and take in students, but it was not really until the UN came to supervise the departure of the Vietnamese army in 1992 that the education system was free to try and organize itself from the ashes. Still today, no university degrees here in Cambodia are recognized anywhere outside the country. How sad is that? The UN sponsored the first free and fair elections Cambodia had ever had in 30 years, and in May 1903, democracy was born in Cambodia. But with the horrors of the Pol Pot days still ringing in their heads, the people were afraid to embrace education like the rest of the world had hoped. What they had learned during the Pol Pot reign was that it was dangerous to be intelligent. At the government primary schools, we have to provide desks and chairs for them because the school has no money for the students. In schools of over 2,000 children, There are often only 2 toilets. Just think about that. 2 toilets with no running water, no washing facilities for 2,000 students. And the main reason why girls drop out of school in primary school is for the simple fact that once they start to menstruate, they have nowhere clean and hygienic to go. So they drop out of school and their lives are over because of the lack of hygiene in the schools. The whole education system is an area where Cambodia has to make huge steps forward before it can come truly out of the mist. In the schools, the government schools, there are no computers, no electricity or fans, no canteens, no playing fields, no substitute teachers, no extracurricular activities, and not enough books for everyone. And any misbehaviour is punished with a firm swish of a long bamboo cane. If you believe in reincarnation, you would hope that you don't come back in Cambodia as a child. We have one of the highest child mortality rates in the world. 35% of the population is under the poverty line, subsisting on less than $1 a day. 64% of girls never enter primary school. 12% of 10 to 14-year-olds are in the labour force, and 70% of the population has no access to clean water. It is rare to see children of primary age playing constructively, as they do not have the toys that we are familiar with. And their parents would also have had no experience in teaching games to prepare their children for an education. Children play quite happily for hours with rubber bands, tin cans, coconut shells, and old bicycle spare parts. A good education for primary age children, even for those whose families can afford to pay, is seriously limited because the salaries of teachers is as low as $60 a month. And this does not attract young people like my kids to want to study educational courses to be teachers at the local universities. So children grow up in an environment of great lack in the standards of those around them who are their educators. Sunrise School Bus drives past many farmers' children working in the rice fields, and they know our kids, they are friends, and they wave and smile at us, but you can see the longing in their eyes to be on that bus with us, going to school. For them, school is just a dream. Our children are physically and sexually abused, neglected, abandoned in hospitals and on the streets. They're trafficked over the border to Thailand, like wow, to work illegally in begging and adoption rings, to work as prostitutes, and in slave labour in factories and fishing vessels. Not very long ago, one of the boys escaped from one of the fishing vessels, where he was kidnapped, put on a fishing vessel that worked between here and Thailand, and they worked all day, and the captain used to give them drugs at night to make them sleep. And if they were sick or caused any problems, they were just thrown over the side, and they went and got another one. And this boy was a good swimmer, and he was close enough to land to swim and tell his story. It is tragic to see the fear and suspicion in their eyes when they're eventually brought to Sunrise. They're not afraid of me because I've got funny red hair and I'm an old lady. They're afraid of me because I'm an adult, and every adult in their life has harmed them. And they wonder how long it's going to be before I do the same thing. I tell them everything will be all right now that you're in Sunrise. But to keep this promise takes money, lots of it for over 400 children. I have to raise by myself $1.4 million a year for all our programs to carry on. Very stressful challenge, I have to tell you. Let me tell about 3 little girls that came to us some years ago. Lani, Lena, and Sina. Their mother's name was Raxmay. She brought the children to Sunrise, and she said to me, "Madame, I love my children, but we haven't eaten for a week. All we've had is water, and yesterday a man came and offered me $600 for my 9-year-old to go and work in a child brothel." And she said, "I didn't sell her, but if I don't get food for my children soon, I may be forced to sell my eldest to keep the other 2. Of course, I took the 3 children, but what people don't understand, this woman was an illiterate rice farmer's wife. She couldn't read or write, and the only things left open to a woman like Raxmay, and there are thousands of them in this situation in Cambodia, when their husband runs away with another woman, or he dies, or is hurt in a landmine accident, she has 4 choices. And that is to starve, to beg, to steal, or to become a prostitute. They are the only things open to these wonderful women. I've got to tell you about Lai Tai. I mean, I've got 400 of these stories, and I agonise every time I'm giving a speech which stories I'm going to tell. Lai Tai was also sold by his mother into a begging ring in Pattaya in Thailand. He's got cerebral palsy and he's very crippled in his legs, but he's very intelligent. It's just his legs that are affected. So he eventually came back like Wow did and was repatriated back into the country. And he'd been with us about a year, and he's a delightful child. And every year I do new sponsorship forms for our new sponsors to bring them up to date with their sponsored child. You know, it's boring things like my favourite colour, my favourite food, my best friend, you know, what I want to be when I grow up. Pretty boring stuff. So this time I thought, well, I'll put something else on there to make it a bit more sexy. So I said to all the children, what would you ask Buddha for if you had half an hour with him? And the boys were saying motorbikes and sports cars, and the girls were saying jewellery and a beautiful house and a rich husband and all the predictable things. And we got to little Tai. He's sitting in a chair swinging his crippled legs that didn't even reach the ground. And I said, Tai, what would you ask Buddha for? And he said, oh, Mum, he said, I wouldn't bother Buddha. He's too important and busy for me. And I said, you've got to tell me something because I've got to report to your sponsors. You know, you've got to tell me something. Then he looked up and he came back to me and he said, well, Mum, there is one thing I would ask him for. And I said, what's that, darling? And he said, I would ask Buddha to make me a very good person in this life because I must have done something terrible in my previous life for my mother not to love me and to sell me and for me not to walk like other children. So if Buddha makes me really good in this life, maybe in the next life I'll have a mother who loves me and keeps me and I won't be a cripple. These are the stories I hear from my children all the time. I cry a lot in Cambodia, as you would imagine. I've got some good stories. We've got kids, some of them at the back here helping me today in university, doing agriculture, architecture, law, business, management, engineering. We do the whole lot. We've got over 20 kids going to university here under the generous support of scholarship programs supported and paid for by the Prime Minister Hun Sen. We are very grateful to the support that Hun Sen has given Sunrise over many years. We've also got kids who are not university standard, but they've got jobs in hotels as car mechanics, insurance assessor, a dental nurse, AutoCAD and IT specialists, and some working at Sunrise. We have a policy that when kids from Sunrise get married, they can come back to us and we give them $300 towards their wedding receptions because, you know, if you're an orphan, who's going to pay for your wedding reception? It's us. So the kids have worked out, they said, Mum, if we marry each other, we get $600, right? So we've had 3 groups of children marry each other and get their bloody $600. This next story is a hard one to tell as well. I used to think that there was nothing in this country that could shock me. I've lived here now for 20 years and I've heard it all. But then one day I was in a restaurant not far from here on the riverside waiting for some friends to join me for dinner. And there were 2 Americans at the bar really upset about something and banging the table. And I went up to them and I said, I live here, is there something I can help with? Maybe you've been mugged or something. And they said, no, we haven't been mugged. We're Rotarians from America and we're here building wells for poor people in the villages. And he said, just outside this door, a man came up with a book with manila page pictures in it of seriously disabled children. You know, some children with the elephant head, people twisted with cerebral palsy, double landmine victims, polio kids, the whole shebang. And they said to us, you want sex with a disabled child, you pick one and I fix. I was so shocked, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and the next day I went to a friend of mine who works in the Ministry of Interior, and she heads up one of the anti-child trafficking units. He's a big, tough soldier, very dark and, you know, stout, tough. She's killed people in her life as a soldier. And I said to her, you've got to send your plainclothes police down to the riverside and stop this racket of, people wanting sex with disabled children. And one big tear rolled down this hardened woman's face. And she said, Geraldine, we know all about it, but we can't do anything because the police are getting their cut. So these are times when I go home and have 3 double gin and tonics before dinner, because there are things here that I am powerless to change. Cambodia has taught me one thing, and that is not to waste my precious time and energy on things I cannot change. So the children that do, through their fate, walk through the sunrise gates are the ones I give my life to and concentrate on. At Sunrise, I have children with HIV, TB, polio, brittle bone disease, acquired aplastic anemia caused by the spraying of Agent Orange during the Vietnam War, varying degrees of cerebral palsy, rickets and scabies. All of this is commonplace, and I have 2 young girls here today who have been terribly disfigured by acid burn attacks. The resilience of these children has to be seen to be believed, and the way the other children at Sunrise have accepted their fellow brothers and sisters' disabilities by loving and nurturing them is something I have not taught them. It has come naturally from a Buddhist belief of love, compassion and tolerance. I'm so proud of them when I see them nurturing our disabled children. I have 2/3 more boys than girls at Sunrise, and this is because of one simple fact. When a female child is vulnerable after the death or abandonment of a parent, she's grabbed quickly by those in the villages who can profit from their virginity. Girls as young as 7 and boys too are sold into brothels where they are taught how to please sexually. There are agencies that often raid these premises and rescue children, but the physical and emotional damage is more often than not beyond repair. My children know I'm talking about their lives, and they asked me to pass on to all of you their Sunrise blessing. So all of them got together and they came up with a message for all of you and your families. So from my Sunrise children, they wish all of you long life, health, strength, wisdom, and what we all need most in the world, peace. And I looked at this little list and I said, kids, wealth's not on there. And one of my teenage boys stood up and said, Mom, if you've got long life, health, strength, wisdom and peace, you're already rich. You should know that. And I love how my children teach me something every day. I'm looking at 70 next year, and this is the country I have chosen to grow old in. In this country, an old person is someone to revere and treasure and look after. Not like in many of our countries, you just stick mum and dad in an old folks' home and go and visit them at Christmas. The people in Cambodia know how to love their old people. And I'm actually looking forward to getting really, really old and having my kids look after me with love and not out of a sense of obligation. I have to talk about noodles, which is hard. I go to the local market here and get silk and silver and presents to take back and sell at fundraising events, and I'm very well known in the market. And I was there talking to my silk lady, and she said, Geraldine, there's a little boy, 8 months old, has been abandoned on a noodle stall. Maybe you can take him to Sunrise. So I said, take me to him. So I went to this stall, fat little 8-month-old baby with big black eyes, and I said to him, well, darling, I can't take you today. I'm going to Australia tomorrow, and I have to get board approval to employ a nanny for you to look after you full time. But I'll be back in a week, and I'll come and get you then. They called him Noodles because he was abandoned on the noodle stall. And if you could imagine how I felt when I returned and after a week went back to get him, and I went to the noodle store and found that his big, beautiful black eyes had been dug out and sold for the cornea on the Organ black market. I lost it and I smashed the noodle stall up and I screamed and carried on, and the people there picked Noodles up and ran off with him. And I still don't know what has happened to Noodles. An abandoned child has nobody to fight for them or to protect them, and this is what can happen in a place like Cambodia. I've been telling this story for 6 years, and it still upsets me because I feel this is a child that I failed, and the only thing I can do to honour him is to tell his story. It can be a dangerous, depressing, dirty, difficult country, but when I see the love for me in the eyes of my children, nothing could ever make me leave this magical country. I came here 20 years ago. I never thought I was going to be here for 20 years, but it's the kind of country that when you get into it, it grabs you by your heartstrings and you are helpless to ever leave it. Other countries that have this effect on people are India and Africa and maybe China, but Cambodia is the one that has really, really stolen my heart, and I will die here. Not happily, but I will die here. I'm totally unqualified. I'm totally unqualified to do what I'm doing. I left school at the age of 15, didn't even finish grade 9. Feel like a bit of a fool standing up here and talking to all you educated young students. And if I'd approached Australian authorities to work with children, I would have been asked for my teaching or my nursing degree or my social welfare degree. I have none of these. I simply do what every parent does when they care for a child. What me and my wonderful staff does at Sunrise is shelter them, feed them and clothe them, educate them, keep them clean, discipline them and teach them the difference between right and wrong, take care of their medical needs, protect them and comfort them, wipe away their tears, hug and kiss them, play with them, make them laugh, encourage them, fight their battles for them, protect them, make them feel safe, support them, find their talents and nurture them, forgive them, believe in them, teach them tolerance and kindness, trust them, guide them, tell them that they have a future and that you love them and that you will always be there for them. Where is the need for a university degree to do all of that? You've heard Wow and Makara talk about all the opportunities Sunrise gives them, and we are now embarking on a new challenge to enrich more than we do now the lives of many more children and poor families outside Sunrise. All it takes is money. Looking out at your young and eager faces gives me hope for the world and mankind, and if I have any message for you, it is to find your passion and joy in this life and embrace it. Living without your passion is like being half alive. And you don't have to run off to the jungles of Cambodia to do this. It can be in bringing up a healthy and loving family. You can find your passion in service to the community. You can find your passion in the corporate world, closing big business deals. It can be in the world of academia. It can be in music or the arts. It can be through research, it can be through sport, it can be through medicine and healing, it can be in your religion. Just find that button that makes you want to get out of bed every morning. Maybe in this room are people who will find cures for cancer, AIDS and other diseases. Maybe out there in this room are people who will find ways to clean our rivers and our seas. Maybe in this room are people who can heal the earth and make Mother Nature start to forgive us for what we have done to her. My generation could not do it. You have to. All of you are here today to learn how to make the world a better place. You're about to decide what you want to do with the rest of your working lives. Some of you may already know what you want to do and many others do not. Trust your teachers and your counsellors, but most of all, listen to your heart because it knows you better than anybody. Please know that the greatest currency you will ever possess is how you affect others in the world. So please remember to be kind. If there is anything I've said today has moved you, I beg for your help by becoming a sponsor and completing a form at the desk at the other end of the room, and by buying my books and other Sunrise products. I can achieve everything I've spoken about today with money. It's very depressing, but that's the truth of it all. Kim Solomon's hope is that I find 400 sponsors for the 400 children in my care at $40 a month. So if anyone wants to make Kim happy, it's very easy. In closing, I want you all to make today the first day in your life to start building your lifetime dreams. Dream it, plan it, do it, but don't forget to have lots of fun along the way. Thank you for speaking.
Have you ever thought to work with the royal government of Cambodia, to work entire country, not just only a few?
Okay, the beginning of your question was talking about Cambodia having more NGOs than any other country in the region. That's true, and that's because there is more need here. The countries that don't need NGOs have got it all going right for them. We need NGOs because we don't have it going right here. There are many flaws in the education system, especially corruption during grade 12 exams and marking in universities. And unless the government can find a way to really clean up corruption in education, I don't give much hope to things changing all that much. I can change it on a small scale through kids like Makara and Wow and my kids at Sunrise that we're bringing up to understand how bad corruption is. But you're right, I can only do it on a small scale. I've only got 400 children. But those 400 children, I hope, are going to be the leaders of the next generation, and I hope will do everything they can to make this country a better place for Cambodians.
Thank you. And right here?
Hi, Geraldine.
Hi.
I'm just wondering, you mentioned that you have $1.6 million that you raise every year to keep going. So just a small question on what your main sources of funding are and how consistent they are. So how much work do you need to do every year to raise that?
I knock myself out. I spend 9 months of the year here and the other 3 months of the year travelling to Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong, and some sponsors that I have in the United Arab Emirates. And in Australia, I've got a lot of friends in the media because when I get home, because of my friends in the media, they make jokes about Geraldine will do anything to get on television, and it's quite true. But if people don't know who you are, where you are, what you're doing, and how to get money to you, you're going to fall over. So I am a bit of a hog with the media, but that's how it works for me. When I go home, I try and get on a national show, a national radio station. I get newspaper and magazines to cover me. I talk at Rotary clubs, church groups, schools, women's groups, pretty much almost on street corners. I hand out brochures at the airport and on shopping malls in Australia, but I don't have anybody to assist me in fundraising, and that's my big flaw, because when I am too old to do it, I don't have anybody trained to do it. Nobody's put up their hand to it. Who wants to live in rural Cambodia with 400 screaming children? You've got to give up a country, a family, any hope of a normal relationship to do what I'm doing, and there just aren't people around like that. My dream is, before I'm much older, that I can find some very rich corporate sponsors or eccentric millionaires who will say, I'll give you $1 million a year. And that's what I try to do every night when I go to bed. I'm big on creative visualization, and I imagine this wonderful sponsor or eccentric millionaire who's going to give me $1 million every year. And that's pretty much all I do. And it's like people say to me, what's your business plan for the next 5 years? And I say, to get as much bloody money as I can as fast as I can. That's it. That's the business plan. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, thank you so
okay.
much.
Thank
Thank you. And over here?
Hello, my name is Zain Khairallah. I'm a delegate from Syria. I just want to say that your presentation actually moved me, and I'm actually shaking as I stand here, and when we were talking as well. I just want to say that to have people like you in life restores our faith in humanity. And I don't really have a question, I just want to say a few words. My country has been destroyed by its own people, and we have a lot of homeless kids and families without any healthcare, food, or shelter to live in. And my dream is to help my people, and I promise that I will plan it and I will do it. And I will hopefully come to you at the back of the stage and back of the table and talk to you.
I have to tell you, I've been watching what's been happening in Syria, and my heart bleeds every time I see it on the news. You don't deserve this. No country deserves it. I know about the refugee camps on the border at Jordan, and I have many Muslim friends giving all their money to look after the people there. So I hope your sadness and terror is over soon. Thank you.
Thank you for being
Inshallah.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll stay here.
Good afternoon. From South Africa. My question, and thank you first of all for the presentation. I'm really touched. My question to you, Geraldine, is what do you do to maybe impart some skills of running the Sunrise Village to upcoming generations for succession purposes? Because we want to see it growing to other areas as well.
When I started doing this work, my background was just secretarial. So I was very much aware at the beginning that I didn't know accounting, I didn't know social welfare work, I didn't know cooking, I didn't know medicine care. So I have surrounded myself with the best Cambodian staff the country has to offer. They're people that are dedicating their lives to helping me in running the orphanage. And as long as I can find people like that, we'll make it. And some of my kids, I hope eventually when they're married and have had time to fly and do their own thing, I'm sure a lot of them will want to come back and take up where I left off. But it's the Cambodian staff that keeps me alive.
Okay,
Thank you.
Hi Geraldine, my name is Anne. I'm from Australia. I'm representing the University of Adelaide.
It's my hometown.
Woo, woo. As easy as it might sound to say to commit to $40 a month, there are people in Australia even who won't be able to commit to that. I just want to know, for those that still do want to help, what is your business plan to harness the non-financial resources that are available?
To harness the what resources?
Financial resources.
The what? The what?
Financial resources that are,
Sorry, that's
are not available.
non-financial.
Yeah, I do grant proposals all the time, and out of the 20 I do, I'm lucky if I get one. In Australia, there's 7,000 charities, and a lot of the people in Australia, they can only afford to support one charity at $40 a month. And there are a lot of people committed to the Red Cross, Save the Children, World Vision, the Cancer Foundation. So it's my job to try and capture the imagination of Australians to let them see how much Cambodia needs their help. But it is an uphill job. The grant proposal writing is one way of making money, but I need someone to pick up those proposals and say, let's give the old bird $1 million a year. That's what I need, and that's what I'm trying to welcome into my life. Thanks.
Hi, I'm a delegate from Korea. What I wanted to ask was that you said that we have to do things that make us want to crawl out of the bed, right?
Yeah.
But it's really, from my point of view, it's very, very hard to find that thing that makes me want to do and makes me want to really, like give my life to. But to you, like you said Cambodia stole your heart. So in order to find that kind of, job or any work or perspective.
I know what you're talking about, and the joys of youth,
Yes.
not knowing what it is that's going to make them passionate. I can't answer that question for you. Fate and life, one day you'll get a tap on the shoulder, or you'll see something, or hear something, or read something, and you'll think, that's what I've been looking for. So you just have to welcome that in your life. It's not something you can decide on things that are common sense. Something will tap you on the shoulder and you'll know. I used to work for a bank for 8 years, and every Monday morning I'd get up and I'd sit on the side of the bed and I'd think, oh my God, 5 more days of this. And I know many people earning good salaries in Australia. They've got the second mortgage, they've got a new car, they've got kids going to school, and they go to work just to maintain this. not because they love what they're doing. And it's a tragedy not to love what you're doing. Absolute tragedy. So I hope you get that knock on the shoulder very, very soon, my dear. Thank you.
Next.
Okay, hello, I'm Hani from Malaysia, representing of Northern University of Malaysia. My question is simple, but I want to know, what is your mission and vision for the future of the Sunrise Children Village in the upcoming
Okay,
year?
I spoke very briefly. I mean, I've got 400 children now that I look after from woe to go, with everything education, healthcare, vocational training, secondary education and all of that. That's all under control if I keep on getting the money coming in. But what we want to start to do now, we want to reach out to the communities around our centres. I see poverty and I see cruelty going on just metres from the gate. And it's all from poverty and ignorance. So what we are doing now, we've started doing it already, we've got social workers going into villages and finding the most vulnerable. And what we do then is we go in, we repair their houses, we dig them a well, we'll give the mother vocational training to be a sewer or to have a stall at the market to sell food. We give them 50 kilo of rice every month, and our social workers go back there to make sure that that woman can feed her children and send them to school. Because it doesn't really matter. I mean, Sunrise is, and I know it's true, the best orphanage in Cambodia. But it doesn't matter how wonderful our place is. Nothing beats living with your own mum. So this is what we plan to do. This is our vision for the future. There's a rubbish dump nearby where we go every Sunday to deliver our rubbish. And if you could see the misery of the children that work on that dump, there's 90 of them. You can't see their skin because it's covered with flies. Some of them would never have had a bath except in the river all their life. They don't have money for soap. So what we're hoping to do next year is to raise enough money to build near the dump, because they all live with their families and their families scavenge with them. We want to build a building with industrial laundry in there to keep them clean and clean their clothes. We want to have a medical clinic. We want to have a primary school and a dining room for 90 kids. And you start off with 90, and if it takes off, people will be inspired and they'll give us more money to do something in another area. So that's the challenge now, to reach out, not so much to bring more kids into Sunrise, but to make lives better for those outside Sunrise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I pray for your success.
Hi Geraldine, thank you very much for your outstanding presentation today. It was very enlightening. Before my question, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to the students that presented their stories today. I think everybody in this room is motivated by your strength and bravery, so thank you very much. My question was semi-answered before, but you spoke about a tap on the shoulder and that motivating, that sort of story or that thing that you saw that motivated, flicked the switch for you in terms of what you do today. I was just wondering what that switch flicking moment was for you.
It goes back a long way. When I was 23, I was about to get married, and I went along with the boyfriend and had all the medical tests, and it was revealed I'd never have my own children, so I got pretty much dumped. And from the age of 23, it's been a constant source for me to try and have my own children. I've had all sorts of surgery and treatment, and nothing ever happened. And I used to think, why me? Why can't I have kids? And it wasn't until I came to Cambodia for the second time in 1993, when I saw the children of Cambodia and how much they needed someone to be in their lives, I realized I could almost feel the universe clapping its hands saying, my God, thank God she's got it after all these years. And it was through not being able to have my children and finding my children in the children of Cambodia. A lot of people say to me, oh Geraldine, we think you're marvellous, you've sacrificed your life for the children of Cambodia. Nothing could be further than the truth. The children of Cambodia have saved me from a life without children. So it was being childless that started it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robin from Pontianak City, West Borneo Province of Indonesia. I'm representative of State Polytechnic of Pontianak. My question is for those kids. Very simple. Have you known or what will you do? What will you do in the future, or what is your dreams? Does sunshine inspire or give contribution for you in realizing your dreams? Thank you.
That's for the kids, and if you could
Yeah.
translate that a little bit, yeah.
They've upstaged you.
And Wow, you want to come up here and answer that?
Did you hear what the question was? What do you want to do in the future? What are your plans?
In my future, I want to be a nurse because I want to help my family, my friends, and it can be all around the world that can do it. Thank you.
And how about you? What would you like to do in the future?
In my future, I want to be a doctor, and I will help the poor children and poor community and the same background as me.
Thank you both.
Hi, I'm Rizal from Malaysia. Firstly, I'm really touched with the sharing from the students. When you decide to come to Cambodia, is there anyone who support and also oppose you? And then secondly, when you decide to initiate the Sunrise Children Home, are you alone, or is it someone that support you, accompany you to make it become a reality? Thank you.
I had a husband for 6 years, and I tell my friends, if you ever hear I'm getting married again, shoot me. You can't do what I do with a partner. You know, the children need me all the time, and I need the children. So I really don't have that kind of support. It would be a very, very special man that would come along to sort me. I'm not easy to live with. But I missed the beginning of your question. Second part was that, no, I don't have any support. What was the first bit?
First question.
That was the main question?
Was that the main question? Who's supporting her? Or
Yes.
why did you, I think it was why?
Is there anyone that oppose you, disagree with your decision?
Did anybody propose that you come to Cambodia?
Who proposed?
Oppose you.
Oh, God, yes. When I first came to Cambodia, I was working for the royal family, and there was a bloody coup here in 1997, and the military power ousted the royal family, and I was a member of their staff. So I was running scared for a long time, and I was afraid I was going to get killed because everyone knew I worked for the royal family. And in the end, what I did is I threw myself at the mercy of Hun Sen's feet and begged him to help us. And, you know, begging's a good thing, it works. And he has helped us since 1997. So I have had lots of opposition, many obstacles, but I think I'm over the hill now, and I think it's going to be smooth sailing for the rest of the way. I've done the hard bit. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Taylor and I study architecture in Perth, Australia. And my question is for you, what's your advice to us who are standing here who have found that passion and want to work to put an end to issues such as housing conditions and poverty, however face that challenge of whether it's professional stereotype, pressures from family or economic challenges? What's your advice for us to follow that passion?
Instead of finding the opposition to what you want to do, start looking for people and organisations around you that will support you in the good thing that you want to do. Try not to be negative, and try not to focus on the people and things that are going to stand in your way. Look for people and organisations that are going to join you in finding your passion and making it all come true. Forget the negative, go for the positive.
Thank you very much.
And don't accept no as an answer.
Geraldine, my name's Harriet, and back in Brisbane I work in a very, very well-resourced program working with young Indigenous Australians who are disengaged from education. And I guess what I've learned from that is that you can have all the resources and money, you know, relatively in the world, and it's still incredibly hard to foster a love of education and a value for education. And I know in your speech you spoke about the difficulty in, you know, bringing a love and a value of education to people who want to become teachers and inspire educational engagement in Cambodia. So I guess my question is it only money that's going to take that shift, or is there something more broadly ideologically, and how would you help facilitate that?
It's an easy question to answer because unfortunately for me and many other organisations like me, it is money and contacts that are going to provide what it is we need for whatever our cause is. I have many wonderful people who write to me and email me saying they want to volunteer and come up and help and teach English and do all kinds of things. But that's not as productive as people finding ways to raise money for me back in Australia, having fundraisers for me. The best intentions of people like being volunteers and offering to send us books and clothing which will get stolen at the airport is not the answer. And it's a cruel fact, but money is the best way to help organisations like mine.
Sorry, I just have one follow-up question from that. Is that money, though, going to ideologically inspire Cambodia into education? Is it that alone?
That money will teach and inspire young Cambodians to do just that. The young Cambodians that I love and are in charge of can't go out and do what they want to do without someone paying for their education to enable them to do it. Okay? Thank you.
Hello, I am Hafiza from Malaysia. My question is, how you initiate to build Sunrise Children's Village, and how about the funds when you decide to initiate Sunrise Home? Is there Cambodian government support you?
Oh, I can't tell you the support I have from the Cambodian government. Like back when I said in 1997, when I was working for the Royal Party instead of the military side, I was in terrible shape. I had 60 children, no water, no food. I had half a tank of gas and $80 in my bra. That was it. And why I always trust the universe is that a check came out of the blue, an anonymous check came for $10,000, which enabled me to get on my feet. So never underestimate the universe. It always comes to your aid, but it likes to make you sweat for a while. But through that original meeting with Hun Sen that I had in 1997, he calls me his older sister, and I meet with him about 3 times a year. He's given us land. He helps our kids get passports to travel, and there's many, many, many ways that he helps us. So I feel that I have the best support that I can have. Hun Sen and his party have a lot of criticism here, but in a country like this, for you to achieve what you want for a place like mine, you have to go with the strength and the power. Otherwise, you're going to not be successful. But the government here has been very, very supportive, and I thank them for that.
Hello, Geraldine. My name's David from Perth, Australia, representing Curtin University. First of all, I just want to say that what you've done is truly amazing, and I think the world is blessed to have you here. Just one question. A lot of us volunteer, but what if you want to take a step further and start an organisation like yours? What is the first step?
Okay, it would be wonderful if there are more people that think about doing what you want to do. The first step is to register yourself with whatever state you're in with the Australian Charities Board. To do that, you've got to have a board, a constitution, and some plan to put forward to tell them how you're going to sustain your project, where you're going to get your money from. Once you've done that and you get registered as an Australian charity, you then choose a country like Cambodia, and you've got all the bona fides that you need from the Australian government to come up and do this. But you need to set yourself up as an Australian charity first, then find the country and the project that you want to do, and then find the money to sustain it. They are the 3 main steps. Yeah.
Thank you, Geraldine.
Thanks.
Hi, my name's Priya. I'm from the University of Canberra in Australia. My question is, what were the reactions that you received when you did start Sunrise?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
What were the reactions that you received when you did start Sunrise?
Well, people thought I was nuts, that I would leave a wonderful, safe, beautiful country like Australia. Even some of my kids think I'm nuts, It's not an easy thing to do, to give up a country and a family. But I'm doing what makes me happy, and I'm not sorry for it at all. I don't have any regrets. And I really, really love what I'm doing. And I've found that button. And I get up in the morning, I don't know if it's a weekend or a Sunday. You don't say to your kids as a mother, "Oh, it's Friday night, I'll see you on Monday. It's the weekend, I'm off." When you're a mother 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I've forgotten what the question was. What was the question?
It was more to do with what was the reactions of the Cambodians that you started.
A lot of Cambodians thought I was nuts. A lot of them still think I'm nuts, but they're glad I'm here. Yeah.
Hi, Geraldine. I'd first like to say thank you so much for your amazing speech. I'm really touched, and it's really great to know there's people like you in the world making such a difference. My question is, you said you so wanted to surround yourself with Cambodians who are able to help you and give the best support for your kids. I just want to know, do these people give up their time for free, or do you, as your charity, do you give them the resources and the money you receive, do you pay them a little bit as well? What's their motivation of being there?
For our staff,
Yes.
we pay them a little bit more than every other NGO does. Our nannies and our cooks and our security guards live with us in like family units. They're family. I have trouble even calling them staff sometimes. We eat together, we argue together, we plan together. The teachers come on during the day and go home at night, and we respect them and we pay them accordingly. We give them raises every year. Just this month in July, everybody's getting a 3.5 CPI increase in their salary, and they know that they are respected by me and that they respect each other. And if you don't have staff around you that respect you, it's not going to work.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Geraldine.
Hi.
My name is Michael from Taiwan. And same as everyone else in this room, I'm deeply moved and touched by what you have done. And my question is, among so many sponsors that support you, have there been any of them trying to ask the children in Sunrise do anything in return for them? And if those demands disobey the original thought of Sunrise, original purpose of Sunrise, what would you do to protect your children and while keeping yourself financially sustainable?
So you're mainly asking whether my sponsors who give me money ask the children to do things in return.
Yes.
Right? No, I haven't had that experience. All my sponsors, large and small, give because they see the value in the project. None of them have asked for any special conditions or for our children to do anything for them.
Okay.
Okay?
Hey, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Dara from Cambodia. My question is a little bit similar to the previous one, but it's like, have you any plan to tell your children that you have to commit to help to sustain this organization, to sustain the Sunrise, something in the future, or you foresee someone that who will be able to run that Sunrise in the future when you get old or something?
I want my children to go to university. I want them to get their bachelor's degrees. I want them to marry. I want them to have kids. And if some of them come back at the age of 35 with their degrees in areas that can help at Sunrise, nothing would give me more pleasure. But I don't want to put that demand on them now. You know, they're just young. They need to fly and do their own thing. But I really do hope in my heart of hearts that many of them will want to come back and help us.
Thank you, ma'am.
But I don't want them to feel obligated.
Hi, Geraldine. My name's Amanda. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I too have had my heart stolen by Cambodia, and I work very closely with an orphanage in Siem Reap. So every story you were telling was...
Oh, you've seen our orphanage in Siem Reap?
Sorry?
You saw our orphanage in
No,
Siem
I
Reap?
work with a different orphanage.
Okay.
Haven't had the chance to see yours yet. But every story you were telling really did resonate with me, and I pictured my own children's faces, so it was quite touching. My question you slightly touched on before, the main thing I wanted to know was how the family relations of how you go with ongoing family relations with your children. So do they have contact with their families if they do still have parents?
Yes.
Yeah.
Twice a year, Khmer New Year, and in September, it's sort of like All Saints Day, where you go back to your villages and your families, and you have Buddhist ceremonies to pay respect to the dead. And there's 4 days in Khmer New Year and 4 days in the September holidays. And the children that have family, like uncles and aunts and grandparents, we do allow them to go home. We give them transportation, we give them their fare to come there and back, and we give them a small amount of pocket money. And they love going back to their villages, not so much because they really love mum and dad or, you know, grandma or grandpa. It's because when they go back, they have absolutely no discipline. They can do bloody what they want. Okay, they can go out late at night, they can drink, they can do whatever they want, and this is what worries me. I haven't had anything really bad happen to any child that's been away. I've had one boy come back and his mother had burnt him with a cigarette, so we don't let him go home anymore. We have kids that come back and nearly all of them head straight for the kitchen for a meal, and they say they've only eaten once a day while they were away with their families. I do worry about what might happen to some of them in that 8 days that they're in their villages. But to stop them having contact with their family would also be wrong. So again, I'm trusting the universe not to let anything happen to them bad.
And I too am one of those crazy people that are going to move here and dedicate my life, so you're not alone there.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Mustafa. I'm from Palestine, the West Bank. So my question is that I just don't want to post a photo on Facebook like to feel good about myself or like buy a hat from you and then like forget about all of this. How to develop a habit of donating and like dreaming about the poor people and the disadvantaged people. Like, you know, I'm from a country that suffers a war and a conflict, and I see a lot of people dying and, you know, suffering. But like at the same time, I see those people who are privileged living their life to the fullest. They don't even think about those people who are suffering and dying. So how to develop a habit of donating? How, you know?
How do I cope with the people that have everything and give nothing compared to?
Like I'm not saying like giving nothing. I'm just saying like, you know, life gets busy and like middle class people, they just want to work harder and harder, like to sustain themselves. So how like, you know?
I find in what I do, one of the worst things I can tell people is what a joy it is to experience the joy of giving. And it's a journey you can only find yourself. You can't give because somebody asks you. You have to give because you really, really in your heart want to do it. But there's not a lot of people out there that understand the joy of giving. And that's a shame. But I can't be the one to go out and make people feel guilty to make them give. I just hope that people will find in their own path the joy of giving. It beats anything that I know. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Geraldine, my name is Nat from Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. You gave us a lot of stories and the background of the conditions in Cambodia. I was really touched by your story about noodles. I wanted to ask you, like, how do you know and judge what problems you are capable of solving or what you don't have the power to control? Like, how do you know when what you can do to help is within your capabilities?
Is that a question or?
Let's rephrase the question in a different way.
The question is, how do you know what kind of problems you alone have the ability to solve, or how do you know when to when problems are out of your control?
When a problem is plopped in my lap, I then deal with it. It's like step by step and obstacle by obstacle. If I knew all the obstacles I was going to face 20 years ago, I would have headed for the hills. But you deal with each problem, with each injustice, with each cruelty on a case-by-case basis and try and find the answer case by case. And that's what we do at Sunrise. We deal with a difficult child or a tortured child or a burnt child with love more than anything else, understanding and making them know that they're in a good place and nothing bad's going to happen to them. But it is hard when there is so much injustice and cruelty out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fa. I'm from Thailand. My question is, what is the thing that attracts you to, how can I say, to spend your whole life with helping children and keep going this foundation?
It's not all my life. I didn't start doing this work until I was 50.
Yes.
Before I was 50, when I was traveling with the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Diplomatic Corps, and when I was working for an American bank, there is nothing I didn't have. I had 2 mink coats, I had diamonds, I had rubies, I had emeralds, I did first-class holidays, I had catered for parties in my apartment, and there was nothing material that I didn't have. But when I went to bed of a night, it was a bit like You're Too Young to Know an Old Song by Peggy Lee, but I thought to myself at night, I had a hole in my heart, and I said to myself, is this all there is? Mink coats, diamonds, first-class travel, is that it? And that's when I started the search to fill that hole in my heart. And a lot of people, if they had to choose one word to describe me before Cambodia, it would be, they'd describe me as a hedonist. And a hedonist is a person who seeks pleasure. And I still do that every day. It's just that I find my pleasure now in a different way, not through material things. And I've got to tell you guys, stuff doesn't make you happy. Doesn't matter how much stuff you get. It doesn't make you happy. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm Ariel Joseph Nipas from Philippines. First of all, I would like to thank you for inspiring me because of your work through your life. I'm a scholar myself, and I was able to enjoy the privilege of college education due to some scholarship grant. So actually, I would like to ask for an advice because it has been a part of my daily life in the university to see beggars around the streets, especially street children.
Yeah.
And of course, I had the privilege to talk to some of them, and they had dreams, but
Okay.
due to
I know.
financial reasons, well, I think they gave up on it. And of course,
Well, I know what you're talking about. How I cope with this here, a lot of the children in the streets have parents who send them out to beg, or they work in organised begging rings. And they go home, or they give their employer the money. The best thing you can do when you see children begging in the street is always carry fruit or sweets to give them. Don't give them money because it's just going to be taken off them. But if you give them a hand of bananas or a bag full of oranges or some apples or something like that, you know that the kid's going to get something. But giving money to children in the street is not the good thing to do.
I would actually ask for an advice because I am an officer of an organization and we do several community development projects. So I think they have the potential to be social catalysts someday, those children, once they're given the chance. So I think as a first step, we need to empower them and rekindle their dreams for the future. So do you have any advice on how we can do that?
I wish I could answer that question, but let me tell you about a boy we had come to us. He was 7 years old. He'd worked on the streets most of his life, and the big boys used to beat him up every day and take his money. And then one day the big boys wrapped up some rubbish and some leaves in a plastic bag, set fire to it and put it up his t-shirt. And he had terrible stomach burns. He was taken to the hospital, and then when he was better, they realised he had no parents, so he came out to Sunrise. And when he was out at Sunrise, he had a ball. He loved the food, he loved the playing field, he loved the playground, he loved the school, everything. But then after a few weeks, he walked 20 kilometres barefoot into town outside the palace, which was his old stamping ground. And I went looking for him and I found him, and he got in the car and came back happily. This happened twice. And then on the third time I said to him, if you run away again, I'm not coming looking for you. And he ran away. So I went down to the riverside and I spoke to the head man who's in charge of all these children. He's not a bad man. And I gave him $10 and I said, will you find out why Raxmay runs away from us? And I went back a week later and sat with the guy, and he said, Raxmay loves you, he loves Sunrise, he thinks it's a wonderful place, but at the end of the day, he wants money in his hand, and you don't give him that. So children like that, I just can't reach. And there are many of them out there like that. I wish I had the answer to your question. They want money in their hand at the end of the day. They don't see the big picture. They're too young to understand the big picture.
Thank you very much.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Cambodian, and yes, my question is, I used to walk around Riverside. I'm sure some of us.
I can't hear you very well. Can you speak a bit louder?
Okay. My question is, I used to walk around Riverside, and I'm sure some of us are. So I see a lot of kids there, and I used to see some kids that ran away and just yell, "Hey, NGO is coming!" So they just ran out from the NGO. And have you faced that? And from your perspective, how to make them adapt to it and change their vision about NGO or orphanage because they're afraid of NGO?
Like Rex made the story that I just told before, there are just some children you can't reach. You've got to concentrate all your efforts and your power and your energy on the ones who want to stay with you, who want to get what you've got to give them. Some children are past that. Some children that are on glue sniffing or gambling or sex or all of those things, you can't reach many of them. So I have to sort of reach a cut-off point and say, okay, there are some you can help and some you can't. So I'm sorry to say there are some kids that I just can't help and I don't know the answer. Thank you.
Hi, Geraldine. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. They were extremely touching. My name is Samaya. I'm from Australia. I just wanted to ask, if we wanted to start up like an organization like yours in another country that doesn't do national police checks and working with children's checks, do you have any advice about how you went around employing people?
Well, here in Cambodia, you can't do anything without a police check or a working with children check, a CV, and references from people. Because unfortunately, because of the kind of country Cambodia is in, it attracts all the wrong people. Pedophiles could be lining up, at the gate, and you've got to screen the children. We've got a very, very strict child policy procedure, and we really, really do check out all the people that want to come, even just to visit for an afternoon. But if you find there are many places here that don't do that, and they open the doors and they let volunteers in, and God knows what happens. We are not one of those. We really, really do protect our children every day.
Good afternoon. My name is Taufik. I come from Indonesia. Please tell us, what's your biggest obstacle in your life when you are running the Sunrise Children Home, and how did you solve it? Thank you.
What's the biggest challenge?
That you incur. Obstacle.
Well, the obvious thing is money, but you must be bored with me talking about that. One of the biggest challenges is explaining to my family why I'm not there for them, and still having them love me for what I'm doing. Finding ways in Cambodia to attract people in Cambodia to really be part of Sunrise. There is so much wealth here in this country. And I try very hard to get my foot in the door with some of the very, very rich and influential people to ask them for money. I've had a little success, but not a lot. But there's so much money here. You just have to make them feel guilty enough to give you some. So, and then it's important too that my family understands why I'm here and not there. So they're the two things I face every day.
Good afternoon, Geraldine. Hi. I'm Hari from the Philippines. And first I'd
Mabuhay.
like to... Mabuhay din sa'yo. Thank you. I'd like to thank you for that really moving speech. And I can sort of relate because I lived in New Zealand for a few years and I moved back to the Philippines. So I can see the contrast between two worlds. And so my question revolves around a question that most leaders sort of struggle with when starting a project. Besides passion, what qualities have you nurtured or you've picked up while starting and maintaining the different things?
I have a real stubborn streak. I don't take no for an answer. And the worst thing you can ever do is say to me, or Geraldine, you can't do that, or Geraldine, you shouldn't do that, because that inspires me to do exactly what people tell me I can't and I shouldn't do. I don't listen to much advice. These are not attributes I'm proud of, but so far it's worked for me. So have I answered your question?
Yes, you
Yeah,
have. Thank you
okay.
so much.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
I'm Naos from Japan. I was just wondering how you actually know that your students are going to be the leader of this country. How do you assess the impact of your institution and students on Cambodia?
Sorry, what was that?
Can you rephrase it? Say it again, slower. How
Okay.
can she?
I was just wondering how you actually know that your students are going to be the leaders of this country.
How do I choose the students that go to Australia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I've got 9 students in Australia. If we have them psychologically tested by Australian psychologists, who then grade them on their ability to cope with a Western education, on their ability to cope with living in a new environment and being away from Cambodia. And once they've passed those tests, they have to pass the International English Language Test, and then they're on their way. So far we've succeeded with all the kids that we've sent, but we've still got 7 more to come home. So it's based on academic ability, the ability to accept change, and the pressures of a university education in Australia, which is a lot more difficult than it is here. Then the English test, and then they're on their way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hi Geraldine, thank you. My question's in regards to, first of all, I've been very lucky. I got my tap on the shoulder.
Oh,
and
good.
it's in more regards to the waste generated in the medical field and medical supplies in my own country, in Australia, and the use that it can go to in other countries. And you said before about not wasting your time on things that you can't change, and I have found ways of getting the products that I salvage and waste segregation and then distributing them to other third world communities. However, it's still on a small scale. And what my question is for you, like with the support that you have with Hun Sen and things, do you think that there ever will be a change and you will be able to combat the issue of in-kind donations coming into the country?
In the field that you're in, which is medicine, right? You're in the medical field?
No, not medicine, more medical supplies, so clean gloves, sterile
Supplies.
supplies.
Things like that can be shipped here. They won't let actual medication come in. But gloves and masks and bandages and all that sort of thing, you can get into the country, and there are so many hospitals that are in need of it.
Yeah.
If you want to send me an email, I'll give you the names of some hospitals to contact.
Yeah, I already get some donations to the Angkor Children's Hospital via volunteers going from my university. I did email regarding bringing things here myself, but yeah, it's more on a broader scale. We're getting it through customs that I'm asking, and the things being confiscated that I don't want to happen.
So she was asking, do you think it's ever going to change, that situation? Will it get easier? To the point where things
It's easier to do this kind of thing than it was 20 years ago when I came. So based on that, I would have to say that there will be change.
Yeah.
I don't know how fast it will be, but there will be change, and it will be for the better. And I wish you luck with what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So hi Geraldine, my name is Calvin. I'm a delegate from the Philippines, and first of all, I just want to thank you for sharing your experiences and your stories to all of us. It has really, really impacted me, and I'm pretty sure it has moved everyone else here in this room. And my question is, how would you gain the trust of the children who, or generally, how would you gain the trust of children who have experienced traumatic events in the past? How would you help them gain the trust to the people who want to help them?
It's not just me and the love they know that I have. My staff are terribly nurturing. Most schools and that here have capital punishment for children. It's very common for families to give their children physical damage if they do something wrong, and we have a policy of absolutely no physical punishment. And I think that the children recognise that the life they have at Sunrise is a lot different than what it would be if they were back with the families that they're no longer with. And trust can only be gained by showing children that you love them and that you plan for them to have a good future. So I gain their trust by showing them how much I love them and that I'd turn myself inside out to give them what they need. So that's how I do it. And my staff also, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ratana. I'm the delegate from Cambodia. I'm here not to ask you the questions, but I just here for to show you my honor, respect, and deep thanks for everything that you have done for Cambodian orphanage, and that your godly activities will stay forever in my heart. And I just want to show some encouragement to the kids over there. I just want to tell you that please don't give up. Please try the best to reach your target, your destinations. Please don't care about what happened for you in the past. I know that you can do it. Please go it. Okay. And if you don't mind, could you please give me a hug? I want to hug you right now.
A hug?
Yeah, hug.
I'm going to give all of you a hug when I come down. Okay.
She'll come down a little bit later, and we'll have her find you. Okay? We're going to just do a few more questions, but when she comes down off the stage, then we'll ensure that you get your hug.
For instance, when you say never give up, when Wal came to us and her disfigurement was much worse than what it is now, she's had some plastic surgery, but I told her that often there were people in the street that would make comments about her that would hurt her feelings, but I'm teaching her to say back, how I look is not who I am. And that's what I think she's really embraced, and she's got the most wonderful confidence about her that I'm so proud of. Never give up. Thank you.
One more here.
Good afternoon. My name is Bonren, Cambodian.
It's nice to see so many Cambos here.
First of all, I would like to say to you is thank you very much for helping my people. Refer to the dream of the two children. So what is your dream? What is your plan? And what is your activity in order to accomplish their dreams?
The way they're going now with their study and their commitment and their natural intelligence, they don't need much help from me, except for me to keep them at school for as long as possible, which is the plan. But the children, these two here in particular, I've chosen to come and talk today because of their personality and their confidence and their desire and their passion for the future to do things in Cambodia for their people. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm sorry, another Cambodian. I'm Sopavit from Cambodian. My question is, may you advise us...
Get a little bit closer?
Yep. Could you advise us how we local people can contribute or assist to your dream to the sunrise besides financially support?
How can Cambodians...
How could we...
contribute to you other than financially? How can they support you?
We can participate in the amazing job that you are doing right now. We don't want just outsider, but also Cambodian can do something for our generation.
Donations of books, rice, shampoo, toothpaste, disinfectant, toothbrushes, all that kind of thing. We have some Cambodians that do bring this kind of thing out to us, and we really, really welcome that. And it's good for the kids to see that there's Cambodians supporting them. But as far as volunteering is concerned, it doesn't work because the kids are in the public school in the morning, they come back and they have lunch, and then from 1 to 5 we have our classes for English, computers, music and dance and agriculture. So by 5 o'clock we have dinner, and there isn't any opportunity for people to volunteer. So if you could donate goods in kind, like rice, shampoo and that kind of thing, that would be a really concrete way to help us.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and we have a question over here, Geraldine.
Okay, so first I would like to say hello, Mrs. Geraldine. My name is Lapir. I'm the delegate from Cambodia. And it was such a great speech, and I would like to thank you so much for helping the kids in our countries. And I'm really honored to have heard that you love staying in our country. Actually, the kids mentioned about sunrise is the best place for them. So my question is that what have you done and said to inspire the kids so much to have that kind of thought? Thank you.
One of the things I tell the kids, I tell them I left school at 15, that most of the kids that I love and care for are more highly educated than I am, and this should spur them on to achieve even greater education, but for them to not give up, and to also recognise that there are people in this world that can be successful without education, in my case in particular. But the main thing to spur them on, you know, sometimes if I'm out in the car and I go and get my car washed, I say to the kids, if you weren't at Sunrise, you could be in this car wash. Or we pass a truck collecting rubbish from the street, and I say, if you didn't have an education, you'd be picking up rubbish in the street. We go to the market and there's the boy guiding you into your car park for 1,000 rubles, and I say, without an education, that could be your job. So I scare them a bit into how bad life could be without an education. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi Geraldine, my
Hi.
name's Jess, I'm from Sydney, Australia.
Get a little bit closer, Jess.
I just wanted to ask you, in your line of work, you'd be surrounding yourself by so much sadness all the time. I just wanted to know what you do in your personal time to keep yourself like mentally stable and to be your best self.
I like a gin and tonic, Bailey's Irish cream, champagne. I love to read. Music for me is very important, and to have my house open most of the day for the kids to just wander in. There's nothing. Sometimes I'll be sitting in front of my computer doing my emails and I'll have 20 kids on the floor watching cartoons. And I love my house being open to my kids, to treat it like their house. And when I'm away in Australia and I'm cut off from this kind of contact with the children, I'm really quite miserable. So when I come home, sometimes I bend down on my balcony and kiss the floor when I come home because it's so good to be back. But I like a drink, I love to read, and I love to listen to music. And I'd love to travel for pleasure rather than for fundraising purposes, but that's not possible at the moment. I'd like to go to have a few more holidays, but that's not on the cards right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Polawat. I'm delegate from Thailand. Well, I'm currently studying in communications. So my question is, how did you gain the media's attention locally and internationally?
How did I?
How to get the media's attention both locally and internationally?
During the coup here in 1997, I was in a very dangerous, internationally public situation where I could have been killed. And it was the media that gave me a profile and protected me. So I suddenly realized what a powerful tool the media can be. They can either make you or they can destroy you. And I've turned over backwards to make the media love me. And I think that's one of my biggest skills, that I've been able to capture the imagination of people in the media to want to tell my story and to want to follow me. Because if you don't have the media behind you, you're not going to get very far. So the media is my biggest ally at the moment. Thank you.
Geraldine, we're going to just take 2 more questions. The young lady here.
Hi, Geraldine.
Hi.
I'm not delegate from Cambodia. On behalf of these children, I want to say thank you, because I am an NGO kid too, so I have had an opportunity for better life, and I know a grateful fear. Thank you.
No question? What NGO do you work for?
Green Cake Girl.
Oh, good. Okay. Congratulations. Thank you. One more.
Hello, I'm delegate from Thailand. As my dad running the organization named Borderless Friendship, we help the kids in Thai and Burma border. And now I want to ask you that, have you ever had a problem or the conflict with your partner or your sponsor? And if you have, what would it be and how do you solve it?
Have I ever had what?
A problem with any of your supporters or sponsors?
Problems?
And if so, how did you deal with it?
Sometimes we have sponsors who want to give in an area that's already funded, and we say, well, look, no, you want to give to education and all that, we have enough money, we want you to give to medical care or to our music program. What I say to sponsors, there are many ways you can help. It's not just in education, it can be in other ways. And are you happy for me to choose the best way to spend the money? And they've always said yes. But sometimes our sponsors do give us money with strings attached, but I can usually work around that by explaining, trust me, to send the money each month to where it's needed most.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as you've all heard, Geraldine's one strong woman.
He's got one more question here.
Oh, okay, one more. I think he's waiting for his hug.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you'll do your hug and then we'll wrap up.